Well, we need to talk about stimulus because millions and millions of Americans are asking, is my $5,000 stimulus check coming anytime soon? Well, we're going to address that in today's video and talk about how 8.6 million people are about to get $500 inflation rebate checks. Yeah, that is true, and it's coming out right now. So I'm going to break all this down in just a moment, explain who's going to get what, and why the Trump administration is actually having a little bit more trouble with those $5,000 Doge dividend checks that they said could come out if Doge was successful at saving $2 trillion for the federal government. Well, I'm going to break all this down, give you an update as to where we stand as of today and who's going to get those $500 inflation rebate checks. So again, stick around and watch this entire video and I'll explain exactly what's going on. But first, before I do, all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. I can tell you right now, it would be very difficult to walk down the street asking somebody if they could use an additional $500 and somebody says no. Because every single person would love to have an additional $500 in their pocket. Why wouldn't they? Well, here's what's going on. A lot of people keep on asking me, what about those Doge refund checks? Are they coming? Is President Trump still going to send $5,000 to the American people? Here's the simple answer. This is looking less and less likely with every passing week. Here's part of the reason why. Doge, as of May 3rd, so 6 days ago, they have estimated to save the United States government $165 billion. There's also additional reports that say those $165 billion in estimated savings also cost us about $135 billion to achieve. So we're up about $30 billion. That's not enough to send $5,000 Doge dividend checks to the American people. That's part of the issue. Here's the other issue. And I talked about this earlier on today. Said how President Trump is supportive of the idea of taxing the millionaires, people that make over $2.5 million or couples that make over $5 million. He wants to tax them at 39.6% tax rate. Okay, that makes sense. That's fine. But here's the problem. President Trump and the Trump administration have been discussing eliminating federal income taxes for people making less than between $150,000 to $200,000 per year. How do we go from eliminating federal income taxes to actually increasing the tax rate for millionaires? How do we make that jump? Well, this is part of the issue. Look at this. It says Trump backs tax hike on rich, but says the GOP should probably not do it. Interesting. So President Trump supports the idea, but says the GOP should not do it. And why is that? Well, it's simple. If the GOP were to pass a bill that increases the tax rate on people making more than $2.5 million or $5 million as a couple, it's going to hurt them moving forward, especially in the midterm elections this next year. But not only that, we're increasing taxes. Republicans try to reduce taxes, not increase them. So as of right now, will President Trump send out a $5,000 stimulus payment? The answer is no. It's not going to happen. However, 8.6 million people are about to receive $500 checks. Look at this. And I want to address this in a moment too. It says, good news, New York announces new 2025 stimulus payment that will bring relief to thousands of families hit hard by high cost of living. Whether you live in New York or not doesn't matter, okay? This is the reason why. Because of the high cost of living, many states are going through a very interesting time where they have a surplus of tax revenue. So what they're considering is giving some of that money back to their residents, to people that filed taxes. So in New York, they're considering $500 checks. And I want to show you this. Look at this right here. It says Yes, you read that right. New York's new budget includes inflation refund checks, essentially a 2025 version of pandemic era stimulus checks. Here's how it works. It says single filers earning up to $75,000 will receive $200. Single filers earning between $75 and $150 get $150. Joint filers that get up to that earn up to $150 will get $400, and joint filers between $150 and $300,000 receive $300. Okay, that's not $500. You said $500 refund checks, inflation refund checks. Well, here's how. Families with kids says the expanded child tax credit is another big win this year. Parents across New York can expect extra money for each child they're raising. Families will receive $1,000 per child under 4, $500 for children aged 4 to 16. This is where it's coming in, okay? Now, yeah, families, if you have a child under the age of 4, $1,000. More people have children that are 4 to 16. That's where the $500 check comes in. Again, that's in addition to that. This is why it's big news. This is why it's so important to understand what's going on. That the New York governor is willing to send out some of this additional tax revenue back to the residents to help them with the high cost of living. This is essentially what other states have done before. Keep in mind, California has done this several times. Colorado has done this several times. Those are just to name a few. Other states have done property tax rebates. They've done additional child tax credits where you get an extra $250 back. Some, if you have a mortgage, right? If you have just a mortgage, and they will give you, if you paid any state tax, they will actually give you some of that money back. Okay. Others, if you do something as simple as you have a utility bill, some of which will give you discounts there. They'll give you free or reduced internet costs. Right? All these little things do add up. And I know a lot of people say, well, what about my $5,000 stimulus? That's what I want. Give me $5,000. I don't want the little, don't give me $500 here, $100 here, give me $200 there, discount my internet, discount my utility bill. I don't want all that. Just make it simple. Give me $5,000. Here's the reason why that's highly unlikely. Based off what we've been hearing from many economists, the reason why the Trump administration would likely oppose a $5,000 check to millions of families, potentially 80 million families, the reason is because that would be inflationary. That would likely cause more people to go out there and spend. Whether it's on a new car, whether it's on moving, new furniture, things like that. But if you give people $100 here, and you give them $200 off of for their year for their internet, okay. Give them an extra $100 in a child tax credit. You give them a rebate for property taxes. You give them another rebate for just paying their filing their taxes on time, right? Being current. You do all those little things, people are less likely to spend it in a lump sum. They're more likely to, okay, I got $100 this month. You know what? Doesn't really impact me. I'm just going to put that towards my debt. Pay off some credit cards. That's all I'm going to do. That's why the Trump administration is less likely at this time to send out a stimulus check of $5,000. They're likely to go towards the Biden administration route, where the Biden administration, reduced costs for seniors. There wasn't any big boost. The cost of living adjustment happens every single year. So I'm not saying the Biden administration was responsible for that. But again, it was a little bit of a boost there. They, just changed things. Made it a little bit easier to live, right? Put a cap on spending for medications. That's what the Biden administration did. Based off what we're hearing from multiple White House aides, is that looks likely what the Trump administration is gearing up for as well. So not a $5,000 check, but hopefully maybe like a $2,000 to $2,500 boost, where they reduce your costs plus give you a little bit more money back. And one of the ways they're going to do that is by keeping the tax rates where they're at, by extending the Trump Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, also by eliminating taxes on Social Security benefits, eliminating taxes on overtime income, and on tips as well. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but what I can tell you right now is that $5,000 check is looking less and less likely with each passing week. So if you have any questions regarding any of this stuff, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.